Welcome to The Quad, CCB's sport podcast. I'm Simon Hill, Deputy Head at Christ College, and I'm delighted that you've joined us as we discuss all the latest sports news at the school. We'll cover global sporting issues and also spend time with invited guests, all of whom have specialisms or interest in the world of sport. This is The Quad.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Quad. And I'm really pleased that we've managed to get the Quad out last week. It was really well received, and I hope that everyone enjoyed listening to it. Joined today by the usual crowd, and we're going to kind of talk about past week's results, fixtures that are coming up, and just a couple of things that we kind of started last week, looking at our top 10 countdown to the top sportsmen and women of all time. So, how's your week in sport been, everybody? What kind of things have you been up to? I'd like to know, and I'm going to throw it out there to everybody to start first.
Oh, I know the first team have had a good game of rugby.
Lots of
again.
games.
Yeah, with Plasmar on the Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll talk about that I think in a bit.
And Mountain Kelly on a Saturday, so
Yeah.
good run for the boys in the rugby.
Yeah, we had a club. Most of us had club games on a Friday and Saturday as well.
Yeah, so lots of games being played.
Yeah,
Good stuff. I think we'll talk about that a little bit. Girls, how's your week in sport been?
Yeah, we've had a few matches, Hereford, Malvern, all
Yeah.
through the years have been playing. The younger years have had a lot of home games as well.
Yeah,
so
that's good. And you guys have been doing a lot of travelling, haven't you?
the first have done travelling, we haven't been home.
I know, for a long
For a
time.
long
it seems.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So I know you guys have been on the road a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about the fixtures that you've had and why we've been on the road a little bit. I'll kind of put a bit of context out there about that. Anyone else had an interesting week? Jack, you had a race, a road race a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
Road race on the Saturday a couple of weeks back. It was the London Mini Marathon. So it was on the same weekend as the main marathon, and basically all the British regions, so Wales counts as a region, and there's Scotland and all the regions of England, have a team of 6, and you go and you run the last, it's normally 5k, but this year it was 2.6k, and you run the last, so 2.6k of the marathon course.
It's quite a sprint.
So it
Quite
was a
quick
great
one then.
experience.
Sprint
yeah.
as well, really.
It was short, yeah. It was very busy. There was I think there's 3,000 kids
Wow.
across all the age groups, and mine probably a few hundred in my race. Like the start, they crammed us into half.
How quick was the
half
start?
road.
Like, did
It
you
was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we were, for about half an hour before, we were in a holding pen, and it was, I've never seen anything like it. There was stewards almost in tears trying to hold people
Really?
back.
There was so many
There's
people
people
there.
pushing forwards.
Wow. That's not the best
Yeah.
start to kind of a prep for a race.
It
really,
wasn't.
is
It wasn't. It was. I think I struggled a bit with it. When I started, my legs felt.
Yeah. Drained.
They just felt like I just got off the sofa really. And gone
That's
for a run.
never a good place to
No,
start.
it wasn't. It was a great experience.
Good.
Really enjoyed it.
Well, I'm glad you've all had a great week, or last couple of weeks in sport. We're going to kind of delve into that a little bit more today and look to see what's been going on in CCB at the wider side and all the fun activities that we've been doing. And I'm going to start off actually with this is cross country season, and we hosted the first Powers Cross Country Championships last Tuesday. And I've got a couple of results actually to share with you. And Christ College did brilliantly. Over 100 Christ College pupils taking part in our home fixture, or home leg, if you like, of the cross country race. Just a couple of standouts really of people who did really well. So the senior girls event, we had Lisa from De Winton House. She came 3rd overall, and Michelle came 7th, both in De Winton. Then you've got Hannah Langley and Helen Tudor, who came 9th and 10th in the senior girl race. So what brilliant results there. Then senior boys race, Joe Murphy, absolutely brilliant race. I watched this one, and especially the last kind of good 300 metres, 400 metres. It was a good battle with a year 13 pupil from Monmouth who won it overall. Joe did really well there. And then Oliver O'Brien came 6th and Ben McLean came 9th. Then in the junior girls, 48 runners in total, and Cecily Mears did brilliantly. She came 5th overall, which was a really good result. And then Sophia Sidoli came 12th. Izzy Doris Terrell was 13th, sorry. And then Sally Jones came 14th. So some really good, strong results there from the junior girls. And then lastly, 101 runners in the junior boys race, which is excellent. I think lots of those were made up of most of Christ College pupils, but it was brilliant, really, really strong field and good results there with Archie Webb coming 8th, Finn Willis 13th, and Harry Ling 14th, which was really, really brilliant to see. Now tomorrow we've got another cross-country fixture, which I know Mr Goodrich has put out the teams for, and that is away at Crickhowell. So we're very much looking forward to seeing how all the pupils do in that one. Other kind of great sporting result to give you was the skiing results over the weekend, and the Welsh Ski Schools Championships was held in Llangrannog on Saturday and Sunday. The primary school event was on the Saturday, and then the senior school event was on the Sunday, and Christ College entered their team as they did last year, and they did brilliantly. All the pupils really enjoyed their time there. And just a couple of results to give you. So primary results, 3 of our primary students performed really well. They completed the course twice and they got better each time, which is obviously the major kind of factor there. It's brilliant. And overall, team did really well. They came 5th out of 20 schools that took part, and a special mention for Toby Davis, who came 2nd in the under 12 event and 2nd overall on the day. And then the senior team, so the seniors was on the Sunday, and that team finished 6th place overall. And Dylan Rees in year 13 and Angelo Dorrell in year 13 came 2nd and 3rd in the under 21 category. So really kind of strong field there, and really good placing. Right, I see like I'm rattling through these now. So hockey and netball results. I'm going to kind of whiz through the netball, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the hockey. So netball, brilliant results for the netball over the last couple of weeks. Under 16 and under 18 South Powys County champions. And the under 13s just missed out on the championship, but they came 2nd overall. And now on to the hockey, and lots of fixtures to catch up on here. We're going to talk about the Hereford Cathedral School loss, which I know that Meg wants to have a chat about and tell us about. And we'll talk about how they've just finished with a great victory this last weekend. So Meg, I'm going to open up to you. Hockey, tell us about the results, please.
Yeah, well, we started on Wednesday against Hereford, and yeah, it was a really tough game. A lot of our players, this was the first game back after them being injured, so it was like slightly different squad to what we began the season with. But yeah, they were a really strong side, and we didn't really find our ground.
Can you remember playing them last year?
Yeah, I remember playing them last year.
I think we lost 2-0.
Yeah, we lost last year.
But it was a very close game last year.
It was closer last year than
I know,
Yeah.
so I've got a feeling that their under 15s came 3rd last year, so their under 15s, or under 16s came 3rd. Their under 16s last year came 3rd in the national
Yeah.
championship.
They're a strong team.
They're a very
So
strong
all of those
team.
year 11s, if you like, or those
Yeah.
under 16s, are now in lower 6th.
Yeah.
Yeah,
aren't
so
they?
they probably made up part of the
Definitely.
team.
So
yeah.
and so strong kind of competition there. You don't get those every year, do you?
Yeah.
No,
Kind of-
it did show us some stuff that we learnt to train on though afterwards.
Yeah.
Like opening up the field.
Yeah.
Um,
And to be fair, we didn't lose as bad as Monmouth. They lost 5-0.
Yeah, and Monmouth are quite big competition with us.
Nice.
So
So,
It was
yeah.
Just
like
slightly.
quite a slow pitch, wasn't it? It was
Yeah, the
quite
pitch
hard
was-
to-
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
really slow
Isn't it
pitch.
nice now having a nice pitch?
yeah,
Yeah.
we weren't used to
It
going
is.
back to that.
But we can kind of complain about the pitches now. 'Cause
Yeah.
Our pitch is nice and fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, what was it like in goals then? Well, was it
I
tough?
didn't play, I played for the second.
Oh, did you?
But we did win.
Yeah, so the seconds, that's great. That's a good kind of
Yeah.
leading on to that then. So seconds won 2-0 up against Hereford, which is brilliant. Can you remember a little bit about that one?
I didn't get much action at all, really. I kind of saved like 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah.
max. But we, as a second, we're really coming together actually.
Good.
Actually turning into quite a strong team. We're winning quite a few games as well.
And then so that leads us on to the game this past Saturday as well. How did that one go? That was at Malvern,
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did. It was 2-1.
2-1.
Annoying goal
Yeah.
that I let in. It was
Ah.
a rebound off a rebound, right in the corner.
And when did you concede? Was it early on? How did the scores go?
It was we were winning 2-0 until
Okay.
the very end, really, and then they just got that annoying
Snuck a goal in.
Yeah. But
Okay,
it was
brilliant.
a good day overall. I
Yeah,
think.
good.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Are you happy, Meg? How hockey's
So
going?
happy.
Yes, and
The
getting.
Malvern win really made me happy. I can't like Darcy scored and I ran and I was like, Darcy. It was
It's
so
good though because
It
you
was
guys
so
have had
good.
a tough run.
Yeah, we
You've
haven't
you've
had
had
the best
lots of-
season
very
so far.
You've had lots of games,
Yeah, they've been
which
really
is great,
hard.
but they've been really tough. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's getting that
Yeah.
first victory.
Summon, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just that monkey's off your back a little bit now, isn't it? You can right, we've got our first victory, and we can kind of push on from there. Brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
it's a good game.
just to give a bit of a update on how the lower school have been doing. So, the lower school had a big block against a school from Bristol area called Catherine Ada Berkeley, a really big school, much larger than Christ College. So lots of pupils in their years, and obviously they've got lots of pupils to pick from. So good account of ourselves, but it's a good test for us as well at Christ College. Under 15s lost to the KLB, but player of the match was Katie. In the under 14s, they lost 3-1, and Lara Poole was the player of the match in that one. Under 13s lost as well, but Holly, I watched that game as well. She was fantastic. She was player of the match in that one. And the under 12s drew. So yes, well done for the under 12s. Drew 2-2, and Noah Din was brilliant in goals. And
She's so good.
she's so
They've
good.
got some really good players as well.
Yeah, so that team were really kind of excited about that one. And I don't know if you guys have followed the school Instagram, CCB Instagram, but Noah's on there doing some goalkeeper drills, and she looks absolutely fantastic. Definitely check that out. She's so good, isn't she? And this week for the under 15s, they finally got their victory against Malvern St James, 3-1, and Helen was the player of the match in that one. So really good, and I think the kind of Malvern St James, really good fixture for us, quite equal, and good sized schools, similar sized schools to Christ College. So we'll look forward to that one next year. Right, rugby. Talk to me about rugby and the win against Plasmauer, please, Ollie.
It was the scoreline reflects a very good win, but I think it was very frustrating for all of us because I think we all know that we should have 15-0 them in at least the first half. Yeah, it ended up being 50-17 to us in the end. But,
Yeah, it was a frustrating start, wasn't it? I think we kind of very slow out of the blocks.
Yeah, I just don't think everybody was turned on enough. Everybody was pumped up. I think we just all kind of going out expecting to smash 12 tries out of them.
Absolutely, and I think we're a bit complacent, and I think it's also good to have that kind of test as well, isn't it? That things don't go your way all the time. So that was a strong win. Then we had 2 games cancelled, didn't we, Dan? Hereford Cathedral School, Baysleg. They kind of postponed on us, which was quite frustrating. But then, Dan, tricky trip up to Elmsmere, long trip up there, but was it worth it?
Yeah, it was worth it. It was a great school as well, actually. I think a lot of our lads were quite amazed by the
huge.
architecture.
Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't
The
it?
pitch was really nice as well, and it was a good game. Started off strong actually in this game, went slow.
We did start off
and
really
then we conceded a stupid try. Charged down by Matt Price's kick.
Yeah. that was frustrating.
But knocked us off our game a little. It was a bit slow. Rain was hammering down, but I think we just stuck to it and then just got it back in the second half really. And just
Yeah, I think that on reflection and looking at the video afterwards, and we looked at the video, and for about 75% of the first half we were camped in their half, and we just didn't convert the pressure into points, and that was kind of to our detriment really, because we let them back in then at half time, didn't we? It was 12-all and then we kind of turned it on. We started to really kind of kick into gear. So, and then talk to me about the weekend. Because I had a brilliant weekend, I've got to say, with the Mighty Seconds down in Mount Kelly, and I'm going to talk to you about their game, but I wasn't sure about what happened here, so I think it was a bit of a mismatch. We were a bit too strong for Mount Kelly, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
And it kind of ended quite quickly. Is that right, Al?
Yeah, well, we were 40-0 up in the first half.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could just tell that we were just levels above them really. They had a decent pack. They had like good players, but together they weren't very connected. We were just finding holes everywhere. And
So we were a lot more organised than them, do you think? And it probably the fact that we trained kind of quite vigorously on that, and kind of it was.
And we were really exploiting the gaps on the outside and using Lewis with his
really pace. Yeah, he's
very
quick,
quick.
It's good stuff. Mount Kelly are a new fixture on our card, and I think in some ways they're really well matched to us lower down the school. So if I look at the results lower down the school, our under 15, I'll talk about our under 15s in a minute actually. Let me talk about the seconds, the Mighty Twos. Took a big bus down to Mount Kelly, and they were great. It's a long trip down there, and I was so proud of them all. They all kind of turned up, ready to go, and I don't think they really realised that they were going to do what they did when they got down there and win by 40 points. was excellent. There were some real standout performers throughout the group. It's very hard to pick one or two, so I'm going to have to name a few. Ollie Jones was outrageous at 9. Sam Collard, captain, leading from the front. Yeah, as always, he's brilliant. And who else was there? There was Dan Hartman, played brilliantly. Tom Voss scored some outrageous tries. Rory Mears, absolutely belting it, breaking the game line. He was unbelievable. Good man. And at the end of it, do you know the best thing at the end was they were all smiling, and that was, they just loved it. And it was great trip down. Mount Kelly's a beautiful school as well, so they all enjoyed the trip down there. And as I said, it was quite a fair fixture. Our under-15s, again, lost, but again, really feel sorry for these guys. They're putting absolutely everything into it, but they're playing some really, really tough schools. And just seemed to be the opposition were playing are really really good. They lost to Mount Kelly, but they'll keep battling, I know they will. They also then just pissed out last week to Hereford Cathedral School 25-22. So, you know, they're finding it a bit tricky. And the under-14s, again, are finding it a little bit tricky. But I'm sure the results will turn around, especially as we move into the second half of half term. Right, so the next part of our podcast, as we did last week, was look at our countdown. And our countdown is of the top 10 sportsmen and women in kind of this panel, and that is voted by this panel. And the next person, Simone Biles, came in at number 10 last week, and I think we all agreed that she was a very deserving kind of place at 10. And the next one who's come in is quite a controversial athlete, but one who we'll discuss now is very successful, and that is Floyd Mayweather Jr. And Floyd Mayweather Jr., absolute, I think, legend of boxing. He's born in 1997, and he's got some crazy nicknames, but I think probably two of the best ones I could probably say are Money. That's his general nickname, so I can guess you can guess why he's called that, because he's made an awful lot of money. And Pretty Boy, and I think he has his own production company, which is named after that as well. He's an undefeated boxer. He's won all of his 50 fights during his career. He's had some crazy fights as well. There was his last kind of bout in the ring, or the high-profile bout in the ring, was against Conor McGregor, and that absolutely made him so much money. 27 of those wins were by knockout. 23 were by decision. It says here, like, love him or hate him, he's one of the best boxing professionals of all time. You know, one of the facts he's made, $915 million in his career. And that's in, what was that, in a period of 9 years. Like, just think about that a sec. $915 million. That's kind of crazy. Ollie, do you want to tell us about his last defeat?
Oh, yeah, I think there's no denying that Floyd Mayweather is an absolute legend. I think one of the reasons why he's made so much money is he's just looked at as a villain. So in every single fight he'd go into, everybody would just keep watching because they always just want him to lose. So obviously, to go 50 fights and not lose anything and still be able to function properly is just absolutely.
So how does he do that? What's the purpose? Why do you think he wants to go in as that villain? What's that going to get him?
Is he knows there's going to be lots of people that want to see him lose.
And therefore, what are those people having to do?
Well, they have to pay.
They have to pay, don't they? That's right. They have to pay to watch him lose, and he never loses.
Yeah, exactly. But he did lose actually back in 1996, back in his amateur career.
How old were you guys in 1996? Were you even born?
-10.
0. No, wasn't born.
Wow, that makes me feel really old. Oh yeah, you definitely weren't born then, were you?
Yeah.
Definitely not. Better question there is, how old was I? Guesses, please. Careful,
11.
Dan. Careful.
11.
No, younger than that.
Younger than that.
8.
I'd go 7.
Oh, right, okay. I'll leave you guys to figure that
15.
out. Answers on a postcard. 15! I wasn't 15. Right, let's move on quite quickly. But tell me a bit about this defeat then.
But yeah, it was back in the 26 years ago in the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. It was a very controversial loss because many people believe that he shouldn't have lost, and I think Floyd Mayweather himself thought he shouldn't have lost. But many fans and authorities think that the result was dubious. Yes, his performance was well above the Olympic criteria. At the end of the match, the referee assumed Mayweather won the match and raised his hand, but much to everybody's surprise, the 3 judges scored it a 10-9 in favour of the Bulgaria's Seravim Todorov.
Seravim Todorov.
Yeah,
Interesting.
In the end, it was a contender who won the silver medal, and Mayweather had to settle for the bronze. This loss was a massive, massive turning point for Mayweather. Because obviously, we know after that he's gone on to professional boxing. He's gone 50-0.
50-0. That's it. Absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
Bit of conclusion then about Mayweather. Like him or loathe him, he's definitely considered by many people to be the GOAT of boxing. And whether you like his style or not, his kind of accomplishments in the ring, they definitely can't be denied. As you said, 50-0. He's kind of got connections with everybody. Next thing you know, he might be in the WWE. Next thing you know, he's fighting a UFC fighter. I think you're right, Ollie. I think the kind of aura that surrounds him, people just want to see him lose. And that's why he gains so much kind of publicity and so much money. But yeah, I think lots of people are looking to try and emulate the way he's made so much money and become so successful. He's like a brand in himself, isn't he?
Well, I think lots of people are obviously Mayweather completely changed how people look at fighting in boxing because he's got such a unique style of head movement and foot movement that he just doesn't get hit.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think he's really revolutionised professional fighting with the tactics that they use.
Absolutely, for sure. And I think to his compliment, that definitely his style is exactly that. He doesn't worry about he works on the counter all the time and doesn't get hit. And that's probably the best way to be if you're going to be a boxer, isn't it? For sure.
Muhammad Ali-esque.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to kind of move on to just Sport Watch and what's been going on in the world of sport that has interested any of you guys. Might it be that Wales have just started their World Cup? Might it be anything in the world of regional rugby? Let's open it up there. Who has got something to talk about, please?
Well, I think being from Cardiff myself, I'm a bit of a fan.
You're not from Cardiff, you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Being a Cardiff rugby fan, and they've done quite well this season. They've beaten the Scarlets, but I think all the Welsh regions at the minute, the rugby's a bit up and down. It's not enough funding really.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the Dragons who are losing to Benetton.
Yeah, that was a bit frustrating. I think the Dragons have kind of started the season quite well and on an upward curve, and these Italian teams, we would expect our Welsh regions to be quite strong against them, but it doesn't seem to be that way, and I've got some real kind of concerns, I think, about where the Welsh regions are going to finish this season. They've got to kind of spin things around quite quickly.
Cardiff's looking pretty good at the moment though. They've just got off the back of some massive signings, likes of Tulipe Falatau and Liam Williams. I think they're looking really strong this year.
Unfortunately, Liam's just broken his collarbone.
Has he?
Yeah, he broke his collarbone in the defeat 2 weeks ago.
Ulster, I think.
It was at Ulster.
Yeah.
That he broke his collarbone, so he's going to be out for a while. But you're right, they've made some good signings there. On the rugby vibe, Wales women started their World Cup campaign this weekend and beat Scotland in their first game. Last minute, talk about last minute, in the 84th minute, Ciara Bevan put the penalty over to secure their victory and make a really good start because they've got a tough group. There's Scotland, New Zealand are next, and then they've got Australia as well. And some are considering New Zealand to be with England, the top two to take the cup home. So a good start from Wales, and I'm really pleased that they're going to get at least one solid victory in their group. I read that Wales might be hosting the World Cup in hockey in 2026.
Yeah, they've launched a joint bid to host it, and that will include 4 different venues that the teams would play in, including Tottenham, the stadium that Tottenham play. The captain of Wales, Rupert Shipley, feels that it would be a really good change to the face of hockey for Wales, because the last time this event has been held in the UK was in 1986.
Wow.
So it hasn't been placed in a
And
long time.
what do you guys think? Do you because you're playing it, what do you reckon if, I know I think they're talking about men's hockey here.
Yeah.
But if there was a World Cup of hockey in Wales and England like a joint bid. How do you think it would change people's perceptions of hockey, and what do you reckon?
When we went and saw the women's game on tour, I know as a keeper looking at the England keeper, it was so inspiring, and it kind of opened your eyes to what you could potentially achieve and where you could go with, you know, the sport you love. And I
Amazing.
think it'd be really inspiring to see, you know,
Here,
yeah,
down the road,
Yeah.
you know, not having to go and see them in far parts of the world, but having it on our doorstep. And who do you think it's going to be inspiring to? What do you think that the aim of having the Hockey World Cup would be in England and Wales? Who would they want to kind of inspire, do you think?
Future
Yeah,
players, people who.
our
Some people maybe don't even know much about hockey because
definitely.
it's not played here. Like the rugby is quite well known. Maybe people could be more inspired.
Yeah, to
want to
play.
get involved.
And that's it, and get involved. And I think that would be the aim, isn't it? To generate that interest and get lots of players down in the grassroots level
Yeah.
wanting to be involved and going. And how do you think they'd achieve that then? Because if you're bringing in a World Cup bid and you've got the kind of the sport and fingers crossed they get it, how do you think they'd achieve getting more people to watch the games? You know, you talk about Tottenham Stadium, that's like an 80,000 seater stadium.
Yeah.
That would be quite ambitious, I think, to fill it. But I think they probably have kind of a target to get a good number of people watching. How do you think they would do that? What do you think the best ways to get people interested in hockey might be?
Well, generating interest from players like us who, play hockey
Yeah.
every day, every week. Getting us involved in watching, or if they came to speak to people
Yeah. Maybe
like
think
us,
of
that
some
would obviously
sessions.
inspire
Like a reach out,
us.
like
Yeah.
reaching out and saying, hey,
Go
you
to
know,
like clubs and schools.
Schools,
Yeah.
definitely.
and tickets, I think, are obviously key,
Yeah.
and obviously making sure the tickets are priced
Accessible.
accessibly as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, making sure they're
Priced.
priced. But also, I know that when big events have come along in the past, they've given special tickets out to schools, or
Yeah.
large parts of the stadium are just allocated to schools to ensure that they are doing that. They're getting the young people really interested and really kind of motivated to achieve that future participation. So yeah, I think it'd be excellent. Do we know where in Wales they would be playing? I'd like to know. I reckon it'd be Principality,
Swansea.
probably. I'd love to see it in the Principality or somewhere like that. They could put some they
Yeah.
can put down artificial pitches, can't they? They can
Yeah,
they
they
can take the pitches out and they can put down new pitches.
Yeah.
I think they can just wheel the pitch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
They probably body Principality because
Be
that's
amazing.
that's
But they do
big.
for like concerts. And
Yeah, I'd love to see
Yeah.
that there. Be great. That's great news. Anyone else found anything in the world of sport that they wanted to kind of throw out their talking points?
Well, I know there was an F1 race in Japan on a Sunday, which was very bit controversial. I think there was a lot of things that went wrong and a lot of things that could have gone better.
Wasn't there a tractor on the track?
Yes, there was, and there was a massive uproar about it because a few years ago, Jules Bianchi, I think his
Beyond,
name is.
on the same track.
Yeah, on the
in
same
Japan.
track. Yeah, drove into the back of one of them and unfortunately lost his life. And I know Pierre Gasly, one of the drivers, was not very happy about this because
Yeah,
He was
I
obviously
heard
very-
that as well.
very good
Yeah,
friends with him.
definitely, and I remember seeing the footage, and one side the weather was horrendous. It was, and they were talking about it afterwards and how dangerous it was that they were allowed to continue to drive. And at one point they were driving, and you could barely see anything in front of you. These guys are driving at 150, 200 miles an hour, and there was a tractor on the track next to them, and it was just kind of. You just looked at it and you thought, how is this happening? It was really kind of weird. But what was the outcome of the race?
Well, Max Verstappen is now crowned world
He
champion.
is. Yeah, what's happened to Lewis Hamilton then?
I think it's a mix of obviously the end of last season really didn't go his way, and that was obviously very gutted for him. And I don't think the Mercedes car is really up to scratch this year as it has been before.
No, I think
So-
they're lagging behind a bit, aren't
Yeah, I think he's struggling a bit, but
they? Yeah.
yeah, Max Verstappen. I think it was a bit controversial the championship this year, same as last year actually, because he was world champion and then he wasn't because the FIA was like he had the world championship and then they revoked it and then they given it back to him in the end.
Yeah.
So-
So I'm pleased. I'm pleased that he's won it outright this year. But fingers crossed that Britain's Lewis Hamilton will kind of challenge him a bit more next year. I got a good one, and I think it's amazing, and he's one of my favourite athletes of all time. And Cristiano Ronaldo scored 700 league goals in his career. Jack, do you follow any football? Do you follow Cristiano? Do you know who Cristiano Ronaldo is?
I love my
Everyone.
football, but I'm an Arsenal fan. So
Well, Arsenal did pretty well on the weekend.
Arsenal did, yeah.
Very
It
well.
was. It was. I didn't get to watch the game, but I was refreshing the score every like 10 seconds.
I
and
watched
when it got to 90+9, I was just thinking, please, blow the
No,
whistle.
they did. I watched it. It was a bit of controversy in that game as well regarding Jordan Henderson as
Yeah.
and some kind of negative comments that he might have made on the pitch, which I hope are not true. But yeah, so Cristiano 700 goals in 944 games. That's pretty special. And just to put it in perspective, some stats for people: 700 career goals, 60 hat tricks, 58 direct free kicks, 173 penalties. Prolific penalty scorer. We've got. For Man United, that was 118 goals. For Real Madrid, 450 goals for Real Madrid and 101 for Juventus. He was only at Juventus for a very short time. He's only been back at United for 2 years and he scored 26 goals and counting. That's pretty good.
Do you think that makes him the best of all time?
It's got to be.
No, it's
Really?
No, it's got to be Messi.
I think
I reckon that could be a good debate for another pod, and everybody listening might be able to kind of get involved in that as well. It is the question of ages, isn't it, in terms of football? Who is the best, Cristiano or Lionel Messi? And I kind of fall on the Cristiano side, so I'm hoping that some people might come back with a counter to that. We could save that one, couldn't we, for another day? But sorry, old Cristiano's definitely better. So Athlete Watch. Anybody kind of been watching anyone athletics-wise or athletes and wanted to kind of think these people deserve a special mention this week?
Matt Price, I think. Matt Price in school, definitely.
Price.
He's been playing out with his skin recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had a club game on Friday, Grenoble versus Bilf. And I can honestly say that was probably one of the best players I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
He was unreal. Yeah. He really made the difference.
Oh, good. Let's hope he turns that on for school then.
Yeah. Yeah. Very very eventful game on Friday. Actually, there was a last minute try from Bilf to make it 17-15. Our own Liam scored right in the corner.
Yeah, I heard, and one of the things I loved actually, one of the parents posted a photo afterwards of our lads, lots of our boys on both sides playing and taking part, and it was of Dylan and Liam giving each other a big embrace, a big kind of cuddle, and both had massive smiles on their faces after playing and hitting 10 bells out of each other, for the entire game. To be able to kind of turn around, and that's what rugby's about, isn't it? And all sports about really is enjoying it and being kind of best of mates afterwards as well. How about kind of the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank kind of scandal this week? Drugs in sport. It's a massive topic, isn't it? Drugs in sport. And just to put a bit of context behind, there's a big boxing match that was scheduled to take place on Saturday night between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. And big history behind this bout. Their dads fought back in the 90s in a absolute mammoth fight, and it was kind of really kind of contentious back there. So this is kind of carried on. This family feud has carried on, and they decided to play in what they call a catch weight because Chris Eubank Jr. is a bigger man than Conor Benn is, and so therefore fights a different weight. So they decided to kind of fight in this catch weight, which would require Chris Eubank to kind of lose quite a lot of weight. So for him to lose quite a lot of weight is again quite kind of tricky for a boxer to do. So they met at this catch weight. So there was already kind of this bad feeling going in, and then I think it was on the Thursday there was this accusation, or Conor Benn failed his drug test, and there was a fertility drug found in his system. And this fertility drug has two different jobs. It can either boost testosterone, and it could also be used as a masking agent to mask other drugs. That lots of athletes do that, unfortunately, is they'll take what they call a masking agent, which covers up the drugs that they've been taking when it comes to a drug test. So they might be taking testosterone, but then they'll take a masking agent or a masking drug so that when they do have their drugs test, everything comes back all clear. And it takes a long time for the World Anti-Doping Agency to kind of catch up with all these new drugs that get up on the scene. And Conor Benn found to have this fertility drug. And I'm quite interested in really what your thoughts are about drug cheats and whether or not they should be banned for life, banned for a certain period of time. Do you think they deserve a second chance? There's been many drug cheats in the world. I'm just wondering what you guys' thoughts are.
It's just
No?
ruining the sport.
Yeah,
It's just the fairness of everything.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think with like enhancements, I think it really takes away from the genetic element of those sports. So like especially in athletics, genetics play a massive factor in the dominance of athletes. Like Usain Bolt, he's
Yeah.
pretty much genetically perfect for sprinting. So I think with enhancements, it really doesn't factor that in.
Yeah.
But I think when you're saying they should be banned for life, I'm not sure maybe banned for life. I think that they should get a second chance, but they should be banned for the time that it takes for those drugs to get out of their system,
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. But yeah, I think if you're caught a second time, I think that you shouldn't be able to.
Anyone else? Yeah, it's
I
good. It's a good.
The embarrassment from it alone would just put you off ever thinking about it ever again.
Doing
So
it again.
Yeah, so I feel like that, especially because it's not just like your family knows, it's like the whole
The whole world. It's like big profile, isn't it?
Yeah, so you're not going to want to mess up again, are you?
Wow, you'd hope not.
I think drugs.
But there are lots of examples.
Justin Gatlin?
Justin Gatlin.
I think drugs, especially in athletics, it absolutely kills sport. How can a man take drugs twice, win a world title,
Yeah.
people in America cheering his name, as well, especially in America, but all around the world, they still cheer his name. He's a hero, he's world champion, he beat Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
And I think that's outrageous.
But he's
I think
double drug cheat.
Yeah.
You know, he got caught,
Yeah,
he was
caught.
banned,
Yeah.
then he did it again, then he got banned
And I
again.
think you mentioned Usain Bolt. If genuinely in athletics, if Usain Bolt somehow it came out that he'd been taking drugs, I think it would kill sprinting and athletics.
Do you know what, Jack? I think
think it
you're
would really-
totally right. And
I think it would kill it off.
in my opinion, and this is purely my opinion, I don't think that would ever come out. Even if he was found that he had any of his samples, you know, they go back years, and all of the samples that athletes they keep, and as the technology increases about tracking and catching athletes, as the technology gets better, they go back and regularly test all the samples from years ago. So quite often you'll see athletes from 10 years ago gets found out for taking drugs or gets caught for taking drugs, and then their medal will get stripped away from them. So they regularly do that. They keep testing as their testing kind of mechanisms get better. They keep testing, but I honestly feel you're right. If Usain Bolt ever got found guilty of taking drugs, it would ruin the sport.
I think, well, in Britain, Mo Farah, for example, absolute idol of British athletics, his connections with Salazar,
Yeah.
the American coach, and all the drugs.
That definitely tarnished his name for a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
And, yeah, the connection with that put a bad taste in the mouth of the fans, and it's just drugs in general. It damages players' reputations and athletes' reputations, and it's such a shame that we now have to look at, say, Olympic champion question just in the back of your mind. Is he on
Yeah,
drugs?
that's
Is she
right.
on drugs?
And there's an interesting one actually, because CJ Ujar, which is he's a British sprinter. For those of you who he was in the news today actually, which is great. It's good timing. He's just had his ban for taking drugs at the Tokyo Olympics come through, and for those of you who don't know, he won a 4x100 meter relay silver medal, and that's just been stripped not just from him but from his teammates as well. So all of that hard work that his teammates had put in, you know, to get to that final, so they came very close. They should have won it. I don't know if you remember it, guys. I watch it. I love athletics. They should have definitely won. They lost it on that last leg, and all of that effort that team had put in, celebrated afterwards. They were over the moon, and then weeks later, it comes out that CJ had been his sample had come back positive, and then they had their medal stripped from them. And can you imagine the feeling from your teammates? You know that you're responsible for now me not having a silver medal. Can you imagine how that must be so painful? And just to kind of finish on CJ. His ban has come through. However, this is what the weird thing is that he's been banned now for 22 months for failing the drugs test, but they've cleared him of intentionally taking the drug. So how do you guys think that went in or got into his... and this is where I think young athletes especially need to be really careful. How do you think that got into his system? If they found him innocent from intentionally taking it, how do you think it got in there?
It's a weird one. So you mentioned kids, like for me in athletics, when I went to my first international competition, I had to sign a document that said that I was eligible for drugs testing at any point. Even to run in the Welsh cross country, you have to sign to say you're eligible for drugs testing.
How do you reckon it gets in there then?
It's weird because there's like poppy seed, like I think is it poppies? There's some sort of seeds.
I've got a theory of how it, and I think I know how it gets in there. But what do you guys think? Because it's a really important topic. I think this. How do you reckon it gets in there?
Sketchy supplements, I reckon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember this when I was back playing rugby down in Cardiff. We had this guy from the WRU come in, and you said a lot about supplements, and if you get them off the wrong websites, then there can be some really bad stuff in there.
Yeah.
And it's really important for athletes of a high caliber, especially professionals, to check literally everything that they're taking.
Absolutely, and I think that's how it did get in there, or I think that's what they're insinuating is that it gets into their diet through supplements, and it's not being checked. The supplements that they're taking are not being checked. What do you think, Jack?
Just an alternative to that. Do you remember Tyson Fury had a drugs case? He said the reason he said he had a positive, like a test with failed the drugs test, was because he'd eaten an uncastrated wild boar.
Wow.
And apparently that had some sort of chemical in it, and he said that's what caused him to fail the drugs test.
I just love all these like excuses.
Yeah.
Which maybe not excuses. Maybe it's true. I don't know. But you've got to be careful, haven't you, what you're eating, what you're taking. Absolutely got to be careful about it, because ultimately it's your responsibility as athletes. It's nobody else's responsibility. He might turn around and say, well, I've got a dietitian. It's gone past his lips, and it's the responsibility of the athlete at all times. I think it's got to be to make sure that what's going into your body is fair, because, as I said, it's not fair on your teammates, and certainly not fair on your opponents. Right. All that's left for me to do really then is just go do a very quick roundup of what's going on next week. We have 2 fixtures for the under-12s and under-13s against Loughton in hockey, and I know that the first 15 are playing Stanwell in the Welsh Premier League at home. I think it is at home actually. Yeah. Played Stanwell away last year, so I know the boys are quite looking forward to that one.
We're going to want to smash up 50-0 because after the last time we played them last year,
it was quite close last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was too close for comfort.
Yeah.
I think we weren't playing together as a team. It was just an individual try, and I think this year will be 50 points up.
Nice. Well, that's a good target to have, and then we'll meet back then next Monday to see how those results went, and again looking forward to half term, which is coming up in a few weeks' time. But thank you everybody, and we'll see you all soon.